Now that we've studied the budget constraint and that we've studied indifference curves, we can study how consumers make choices when they're subject to a given constraint, which is the budget constraint. Here goes. So here on this graph, we have the budget constraint, and we have all the baskets of goods that the consumer can buy. That's all the orange triangle that you see there. All that area are baskets of goods that are affordable for the consumer. So let's say that the consumer would like to consume goods that are on this blue indifference curve. Is the consumer able to do so? Well, obviously, none of the goods that are on this indifference curves are, or none of the baskets of goods on this indifference curves are affordable for the consumer. So there's no combination of B and C that the consumer can afford when the consumer is on the blue indifference curve. How about this orange indifference curve here? The thing with this orange difference curve is that, well, there are a lot of baskets of goods that are affordable for the consumer, but it seems quite clear that if the consumer were on a higher indifference curve, well, the consumer could probably still afford baskets of goods that would provide him with a higher level of satisfaction. So let's try this green indifference curve here. On this green indifference curve, the consumer is able to be on the highest indifference curve for which there is still a basket of goods that is affordable to him, right? So on this indifference curve here, the consumer is able to buy a basket of goods, which corresponds to the tangency point between the indifference curve and the budget constraint. So here at this point, for this basket of goods, we see that the property that's going to define the optimal consumption for the consumer is that the slopes of the indifference curve and the budget line are the same. Mathematically, we're going to see that the slope of the indifference curve is equal to the slope of the budget line. The slope of the indifference curve, remember, that's the marginal rate of substitution. And so that's the change in B divided by a change in C. So how much the consumer is willing to sacrifice in terms of good B in order to get an extra unit of good C. And that's equal to the slope of the budget line. The budget line is the ratio of prices, PC divided by PB. This equation you must absolutely know by heart, and you need to understand it. Basically what it says is that the consumption is optimal when the sacrifice of good B that the agent agrees to for 1 unit of C, so that's a marginal rate of substitution, is equal to the opportunity cost, PC divided by PB, to buy an additional unit of C. So that opportunity cost, that's a price ratio which we find thanks to the budget line.